Welcome into the Gaming Discourse podcast. I am your host for this week, Richard Dela Cruz, alongside Tyler Frater, who is not here this week, and our Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander, Connor Frater.
Hi.
I said Lieutenant.
Yeah. You did last week too.
I know, I wanted to. I wanted to be different. Not too different, but a little different. Anyways, follow us on Twitter at Gaming Discourse and follow our YouTube and Patreon at the Gaming Discourse. We also have a new channel and show called Gaming Discourse FM, where you can listen to a selection of video game music as it gets discussed and introduced by me. And Tyler's new video, The Brilliant Sights and Sounds of Half-Life 2's Best Level, hit a couple weeks ago, and we got some more videos cooking, so stay tuned for those, please. We got a lot of news today, which we'll get into shortly. But for now, Connor, been playing anything?
Before I get into that, I want to say, and I know the people listening know this because you have an amazing radio voice.
Oh, thanks.
But your radio voice on the Discourse FM is like phenomenal for leading into music.
Oh, good. Yeah, because
so, if you haven't listened to it, go listen because it's really silky smooth and then into music.
Thanks, man. Like, I'm being really like excited, you know, like, hey, welcome to the podcast and everything, but like I slow it down.
Yeah. You go real like smooth jazz DJ.
Yeah, the shows that you would hear on the radio late at night.
NPR
like that's
voice.
kind of NPR voice. Yeah, I love it. ASMR stuff for sure. But thank you. I appreciate it.
But recently I've just been playing the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Really fun. The web swinging.
It was wonderful.
It is arguably some of the best like aerial movement game.
Mm-hmm.
Even like some like Ace Combat games.
Oh,
flying is a little sluggish.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if that's like intentional because of like them trying to simulate drag or something.
Mm-hmm.
But Spider-Man is just zipping along. Some of the like flips and spins he does while web swinging is,
of course, as a like human being, he's quite sleek as well. So when he like kind of needles himself through the air to like kind of launch further is really nice. And maybe it's just the brain connecting all of those, but you can kind of feel that too. It's really weird.
The devs really nailed feel.
Yeah, and some people like to argue to this day which is better, either the new PS4 Spider-Man swinging or the Spider-Man 2 swinging from PS2 days, because people still really like that swinging, but I wouldn't know. I never played that one.
Neither did I.
Okay.
I played the first one that had like the tutorial that was voiced by Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. That was great.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Love it.
No, definitely a good one. But yeah, no, that's awesome, man. How far did you get?
I've been doing a lot of the towers and the backpack collecting.
Yeah, those are fun.
A couple of the side missions, but I have to go talk to Lee about them. That's where I'm at. I'm super early.
Hey, that's fine as long as you're like chipping away at it, or at least get to experience what it's about. Because even then, like the fighting system's great, and all the characters are really great too. And what's his name? Yuri Lowenthal is an awesome Spider-Man.
He really is.
He's really good.
He always delivers a great performance.
Yeah.
Everything he's done is top.
Yeah, I have to agree. But yeah, is that everything?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that and just cracking away still at Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
It's a great, just like 10-minute time killer.
You know what? We're talking about it right now. I'm going to start downloading it. But anyways, we were talking about it before the podcast. So it's just like, all right, I'll give it a shot. But I have been playing not a ton. I started up Dead Cells again because the Castlevania DLC came out for Return to Castlevania.
Okay.
And so I started it up on PlayStation 4 and had to get back into the groove of Dead Cells because I played it before several years back when it first came out, and I really enjoyed it. I love the I don't know how to, so the really rough pixelization of the characters and the environments.
Yes.
And I think that they did a really great job of, I forgot the dev on it. You're probably looking at it right now.
Motion Twin.
Yeah.
And
Motion
Evil
Twin
Empire.
They both did a really great job on the main character. I think his name is Headless. The main character's expressions, because he can't talk, he doesn't have a head, but like his expressions really make you, they're very charming because he'll he'll rub his little like ball of fire as if he's thinking about something, or just kind of like he's very erstwhile about things. It's like, oh, there's a pile of dead bodies. Oh, those are me. Oh, well, like, you know, and let's keep going. But the good and bad about like the Castlevania DLC is that you have to find it. It's because the game is randomized. It's a roguelike. So it's when you start in the areas, you have to, there's certain ways you can go about it. You can try to speed into the next area from the starting area, which will be, once again, completely randomized, because if you do that, if you reach those areas in a certain amount of time, there are bonus doors that open up that will lock if you don't either get there in time or fulfill a certain requirement. So I always try to get to places within 2 minutes because I think that's the first door.
Yeah.
But if I do take my time a lot of times and kind of explore the whole area they give you, I usually will find the pathway into Castlevania. It's usually dictated by like a set of stairs going down. And when you go into, and I've encountered it so far several times, when you go into Castlevania, you get just a huge explosion of Easter eggs and familiarity if you're somebody who's well attuned to the games. And so when you enter the area for the first time, the way it tells you where you're at is the same way it would tell you what level you're on in some of the Castlevania games.
Yeah.
And then you very quickly meet some of the characters because they called you over, and you'll meet, you upgrade your abilities through a magician usually, or I don't know if I'd call him a magician, but he has like a huge tank on his back, and you have to spend cells that you get from killing enemies.
Yeah.
In the Castlevania world, you do that with a character named Shinoa, and she's from some of the later games, which was great to see her. But you will encounter Alucard, which he tells you, hey, we gotta go kill my dad. He's back. And you'll go through different areas of the castle, usually through like elevators up until the entrance, and then you'll scour the entire castle mostly until you get to like a fight with Death. It seemingly makes you go to the final fight with Dracula, but right before you reach it, Death basically pulls you down and you have to fight him. And I died the first couple of times. I ended up having a very good set to beat him the next time. And as soon as you did that, Alucard appears again, and he's like, hey, I gotta figure out how to really get to my dad. So you go back to where you came from, and eventually I'll come see you, and then we'll figure it out. Been playing, I think, about like 8 hours now of the game, but I'm very much into it again. Not just the Castlevania DLCs, but Dark Souls. Dead Cells in general. Yeah, Dead Cells in general, because it feels great to play. I kind of enjoy how fast you have to be in that game.
Yeah.
Switching between the different weapons that you have and having to dodge enemy attacks and figuring out what enemies do what when you get to certain areas, because I've forgotten it all by now. But each run, I get faster and faster, and each run I also unlock more and more weapons, which I unlock Death's weapon after you fight him. And when you input enough cells into the weapon, you can attain it for that run. And I did. And Death's weapon, when you kill somebody with his scythe, you pull their souls out and they fight for you.
Metal as fuck.
Yeah. And so it gets to a point where, like, if I can take out 5 enemies at once, because sometimes there's like rats and stuff grouped up.
Yeah.
They'll come with me wherever I go, and they're just completely pile on to enemies. And it feels very good, and you feel way too overpowered. But that's the thing about feeling overpowered in some of these types of games, is that you end up getting reckless.
Yeah.
And I got a bit reckless, and I died, and I lost the sight. So now I got to play again and figure out if it'll pop up for me again, because once again, everything is completely randomized. So, but I'm loving the heck out of it. It's a great game and a great love letter to Castlevania.
And it just looks beautiful.
It looks very, very good in motion. Yeah. And what I unlocked, there's another, so the character Maria Renard from Castlevania, you encounter her and you save her cat, because her ability is using animals, and you save her cat, and so you end up getting the cat as a as a bonus item. And so he kind of like wanders around as you're walking around, and if he encounters any enemies, he'll start to like slash at them and stuff. He does great damage, but you can call him onto your shoulder with one of the press of the button.
Oh, 10 out of 10. Get in the air.
Yeah, and he'll hang out. He'll hang out on your shoulder as you walk around. And when you want to use him against somebody, you can press the button again, and he'll have large slashes that come out, and then kind of like a lion head that like kind of like grows into a lion head and like bites enemies and stuff. But then he's on a cooldown after that. But
yeah.
Very cool to have him running around. It's very neat. But I unlocked her outfit, so now I can run around as her, like dressed up as her. And it's funny because obviously I don't have a face, so it's just like a glowing ball on the face. But yeah, no, great love letter of a game to Castlevania. But Dead Cells is awesome. But that's it. That's all I've been playing. Is there anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, well, let's hit the ad.
Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server.
I got lots of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard news here.
Oh boy.
So much stuff has happened in the last week and a half, and it really sucks that Tyler isn't here to help put it all together because he's very good at that.
Yeah.
Because I've lost track of all this stuff. I'm going to go through a couple main things. There's so much more, but I'm just kind of going to go through this and we'll see what's going on. We'll see if we can discuss at length about it. So Microsoft had a behind closed doors meeting with CMA and Sony. Sony was there as well, apparently, where many topics were discussed. And it was assumed to be a behind closed doors, but for a reason. But lots of information has popped up since then. Sony suggests to the CMA that Microsoft could release a buggy version of Call of Duty on PlayStation, which would make gamers lose confidence in, quote, the PlayStation as a go-to venue to play Call of Duty. I didn't put this in here, but we have reports within the last couple of weeks that Microsoft extended a 10-year deal for Call of Duty to PlayStation. And apparently in that deal was the ability for PlayStation to place Call of Duty on their PlayStation Plus service. So they could do a Game Pass thing and release it day one on PlayStation Plus if they wanted to. So that's regarding that. As part of the proceedings, Microsoft has revealed that Sony has set up, quote, exclusion deals for third-party games on PlayStation. It seems that Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy XVI, and Silent Hill 2 Remake will never hit Xbox, despite the associated publishers' silence on the matter. So Sony hasn't said anything regarding that. But according to Xbox, those three games will never, ever come to Xbox.
Yeah.
I don't know how they know that, but, business stuff that us normies will never see. Now, Tom Warren was reporting on some of this stuff, and Activision's EVP of Corporate Affairs, Lulu Chang Meservey, who I believe we talked about her a couple of weeks ago, she took to Twitter in response to him and stated that, quote, Microsoft offered Sony, the dominant console leader for well over a decade with 80% market share, a 10-year agreement on far better terms than Sony would ever get from us. We've also offered Sony guaranteed long-term access to Call of Duty, but they keep refusing. Why? The CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment answered that question in Brussels. In his words, and this is Tim Ryan, quote, I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger, end quote. Apparently Jim Ryan said that behind closed doors at this meeting. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
There's way more going on.
Yeah.
But I think we said 2 weeks ago when Tyler was here, I think I mentioned like this is getting really messy, and ultimately I wonder if it's even worth the trouble of everything happening. Sony kind of told on themselves.
Yeah.
They said Microsoft would release a buggy version of Call of Duty, make gamers lose confidence in, quote, PlayStation's go-to venue to play Call of Duty. But wouldn't that mean that PlayStation's quality control isn't good either if they're saying it would bypass like their checks? Because Cyberpunk didn't, and they issued refunds for everyone.
But again, like we'll reference Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
When Cyberpunk released, super buggy. And I know it was super buggy everywhere. People were like, "Damn it, PlayStation, why didn't you do this better?" No, they're like, "Damn it, CD Projekt, why didn't you do this better?"
Right.
So it's very conspiratorial tinfoil hat wearing, like they're gonna send us buggy games and people are gonna hate us.
Right.
No, they'd hate the developer. That's how gamers think. They don't think, "Oh, my PlayStation is bad." They think, "Oh, it's a bad game."
Yes. And gamers do think that, funny enough, that is one of the like things that gamers do pick up on. Like they know when a game is crap and they know exactly who to blame a lot of times.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
because
don't.
games have been released on the PlayStation 5 and been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So a game releasing on the PlayStation crash isn't the PlayStation 5.
Right. It's definitely the game.
Yeah.
I don't know how true the Final Fantasy VII remake, Final Fantasy 16, Silent Hill 2 will never hit Xbox thing is. There was Final Fantasy VII when it came out on PS4 did state that it was a timed exclusive, but after a year we found out it was coming to PC and no mention of Xbox, which is also weird because if I'm not mistaken, the Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core game that just came out 2 months ago is on Xbox. So why would they release the prequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake if they weren't going to eventually release Final Fantasy VII Remake? I don't know. So there's a bunch of I think these two giants are kind of just throwing excuses at each other and throwing, seeing what sticks to the ears of the CMA and whoever else will listen that they can make themselves. There was something else I was going to say here.
I think Sony is really heavily playing if they get this, they'll ruin us.
Yeah.
I mean, both sides are.
Mm-hmm. They are.
But I don't think, I think that card is a garbage excuse anyway. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really interesting coming from PlayStation because Microsoft is giving them a good deal.
From the outset, I would have to say so as well. I argued that 10 years of Call of Duty is a great deal because a Call of Duty game comes out at least every other year.
Yeah.
Or every year. And you have Call of Duty Warzone, which makes money as well. So,
and as we've been saying this entire time, through the entire Microsoft Activision Blizzard saga, Microsoft has zero reason to not release it on Sony because that's just another revenue stream.
Yeah.
That they don't have to do a damn thing for. It's free money.
Yeah. Free real estate.
Yeah.
But it's also weird because, Sony seems to be, nobody's looking good right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to, if you asked me half a year ago, I'd probably be like, yeah, Microsoft, yeah. But now I'm trying not to take sides here. But if this deal does fall through and there's no merger, I feel like Sony is now making an enemy out of both Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft.
Yeah.
By combating this so much. And, that hurts them in the long run.
Yeah.
But, also, once again, as I said a couple weeks back, if Sony's so worried about losing Call of Duty or this merger happening, whatever, which I get, they should focus on making their own franchises or their own games that could capture that audience for their own.
Yeah. I think both sides need to take a step back and look at and realize that they're not in downtrodden position as they're trying to be.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's all just seemingly panic responses one after another. But yeah, I have nothing else to say on this. It's very messy. But I guess we'll have to see what happens in the coming days.
Yeah.
Take-Two is laying off employees to quote, wait, hold on. Take-Two is laying off employees. And then they said it will, quote, better align our organization with our long-term priorities. Looming layoffs were first hinted at in Take-Two's Q3 2023 financial report, in which CEO Strauss Zelnick said the company was looking for $50 million in annual savings in areas including personnel, processes, infrastructure, and other areas, particularly in our publishing and corporate functions. The layoffs in particular seem to be mostly happening with publisher private division, which they published Hades, they published Outer Worlds.
From a space program.
Yeah. And they're doing the second one as well, from what I understand. Check this out. Take-Two's net revenue increased 56% to $1.41 billion last year, and their net bookings grew 60% to $1.8 billion. Yet they need to lay off employees?
Yeah.
Tyler isn't here, so I'll say, fuck you, Zelnick.
Yeah. And one thing I understand why corporate politics.
Yeah.
But I'll never understand why they're like, oh, we need X amount of money. Let's start laying off the lowest paid people.
Yeah. This information is obviously public. Like I was able to, like in the article, I was able to get it. Sorry, this was from PCGamer.com, and the last story was from Windows Central and Twitter. But we can see what you make, and we can see your 60% increase, your 56% increase. So when you turn around and tell us, shucks, we gotta lay off some people, things aren't looking good. I know that's not exactly the reason I'm being facetious, but there's only so many times that people are going to take that excuse.
Yeah.
Or they start poking at things or maybe trying to retort with their own words. And with this happened with Activision Blizzard a couple of years ago, there was like record profits and they laid off people. Now we're seeing the same story again. And I think there was another story in between those two. But it's just very soon there's going to be, especially with the way the climate is right now with pay and pay inequality and stuff, people are going to end up not taking that excuse or these excuses. And people are going to retaliate in some way, shape, or form. And Take-Two has one of the biggest selling games of all time, one of the most, successful games of all time, the Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep.
And it's still printing money for them. And they can't hold on to customers that, or not customers, I'm sorry, employees that provide their content for consumers. It's a shame. It's a damn shame.
I think we just need to get into a room with Strauss Zelnick and bring in the Bobs and just have them, what exactly do you do? Because I don't know, it doesn't seem like Strauss Zelnick does a lot. He could probably, trim his pay a little bit, cover most of that $50 million.
Nintendo does it all the time. They go, hey, we'll take a pay cut as long as we can keep our employees.
Yeah,
I know that's one of the few good things about Nintendo. But yeah, he also doesn't make Western games. So
yeah, nobody wants cowboy games.
Nobody wants
hasn't been a very popular cowboy game that was groundbreaking and people still play.
Not since 2018 or 2019. Damn, it's been that long already.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Nintendo's boss defends its $70 price tag on Legend of Zelda. During Nintendo's last Nintendo Direct, it was confirmed that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom would be priced at $70. Fans became worried that all of Nintendo's other games would follow suit, knowing that the first-party games from Nintendo usually never go on sale. Question to justify this price tag was brought up with the Associated Press when interviewing Doug Bowser, who is the president of Nintendo. I don't know if you knew that, but his name is Doug Bowser.
Yeah.
That's actually his name. In response, Bowser said, quote, "We look at what the game has to offer. I think fans will find this is an incredibly full, deeply immersive experience. The price point reflects the type of experience that fans can expect when it comes to playing this particular game. It's actually a fairly common pricing model either here or in Europe or other parts of the world, where pricing may vary depending on the game itself." End quote. After the decision was made to price Tears of the Kingdom at $70, spokesperson added that the company will examine the retail price of its titles on a case-by-case basis. How do you feel about that?
It could be a lot worse because the game should be selling at a higher price point for how much it is to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's not just...
I mean, it's a 15% markup
Yeah.
from 60 to 70.
Sure. Yes.
But games probably should be going, or if following pricing trends, probably should be going closer to 90, 95.
Yeah, definitely.
So still at a good point. So I'm fine with $70.
Yeah, this is no longer the era of five guys making an NES game. Because you would see there was like only a handful of people on the credits of those things. But yeah, it is as much as it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The costs to make these games are also astronomical, and we can, once again, public knowledge, you can find out how much these things cost for most of the time. I'm not one who usually dictates if the price I pay is worth how much game I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of more of a, do I get any sort of enjoyment out of it? Cool, it's worth my time. Shaky at best, depending on who you talk to. But for instance, Zelda Breath of the Wild, the first Zelda game, still people to this day playing that game.
Yeah.
Religiously, 300 plus hours, 1,000 plus hours, however you want. And so I think that it's completely justified, especially when 8-hour games that could be very good, a la like Hi-Fi Rush or whatnot. Although Hi-Fi Rush was released at $40, so that's not like a really good comparison.
Yeah.
But if an 8-hour game was released at $70, people don't seem to like that.
Yeah.
At least online. So I think it's pretty fair. And there are lots of games that can justify those values. I mean, Skyrim has been re-released over 11 times.
Yeah.
People still pay full price, and they still put hundreds and hundreds of hours into those games. So I think it mostly just depends on the type of person you are and what you want out of your own game.
Yeah.
For instance, another example. Yeah, I paid $50 for Overwatch back in the day. Over 1,000 hours on it, and it's free to play now, which is great. But sure, but as a first person, multiplayer shooter, gotten my worth out of it. Dead Cells got my worth out of it. So I guess it just depends on who you are. But I do enjoy that he was actually straightforward about it. And that it's not every game, it's just a case-by-case basis type of situation.
Yeah. If you are one of the people that is like, value of, or the game value should be relatively equal to length of the game to beat. Median for Breath of the Wild was 50 hours for just the main story.
Wow. Damn, really?
Yeah.
Wow, I spent 50 hours on that game. This is great 50
and then
hours.
If you do like extras, you're pushing 95 to 100 hours.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So still within that range.
I wonder how much of that was because they don't tell you where to go. They just, which is great for a lot of people.
Getting lost in the
Lost Woods.
Yeah, lost in the Lost Woods.
But I'm fine with Tears of the Kingdom being 70 as long as I get the same amount of hours of it. It's Zelda specifically as a series is never bad on average, so it's $70 is like I know I'm going to get a good game. I got no issues with it. But it's been very quick. That's all I got for news.
Yeah.
I got tidbits though. I think you got a tidbit too. Let's hit it.
What if I told you, in this world, there are bits, and there are tids, and Richard is the only man who can put them together into tidbits.
And Connor. Not just me who has tidbits this week, but let's roll through them. A recent release will have its name changed. Inti Creates, who's done Azure Striker Gunvolt, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, and other games, recently released a game called Grim Guardians. It's a spin-off to the Galgun series. Over the last week, Inti Creates came out and released a statement that said, quote, recently released action title Grim Guardians will change its title to Gal Guardians. This title change will occur within the next couple of weeks, and the game may not appear on certain storefronts. This change comes after Inti Creates received a complaint from owners of the trademark Grimguard, registered in certain countries. I bought the game, like it came out like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And I bought the game, and so when I see it on my screen, it still says Grim Guardians. Yeah. And I wonder if I should take a picture or something, because it's not going to be worth anything, but it's just like, hey, look what happened. But yeah, it kind of sucks that these weird trademark things happen. There's no way that I would confuse, well, maybe you know what? No, I'm not going to go that far. I wouldn't confuse Monster Energy drink with Gods and Monsters. Yeah. You know, so they had to change it to Immortals, Phoenix Rising. Whatever. I would not confuse those two. I guess there's one, Grim Guardians and Grim Guard. Maybe people would get confused. I don't know. Whatever. If they're into it, what is Grim Guardian? I don't even know what Grim Guard is. I never even looked it up. I should have looked it up. I bet it's some board game, which in that instance should not, you know.
Keep talking. I'm looking.
Should not have anything to do with each other because they're in different, you know, industries.
I'm not seeing any. I'm seeing. I look up Grimguard unless it's one word.
I believe it is one word, all caps.
Grimguard Tactics is a mobile game.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, maybe it's a good one. Art style kind of looks cool. Anyways, maybe I'll check that out. Who knows? I forgot to download Marvel Snap. Moving on. Total Biscuit's wife may delete all of his content. This is a shitty story. John Bain, aka Total Biscuit, passed away from cancer back in 2018. Was he an announcer for League of Legends, or what did he do? I forgot he was just a personality, right?
I believe so. I forget.
Sorry. Well, he was a well-loved YouTuber and gaming personality whose mark has been left on the gaming world, and unfortunately continues to with AI. Bain's widow, Jenna Bain, revealed to fans that she is contemplating deleting all of his videos off the net. He had this to say, quote, "Today was fun, being faced with making a choice of scrubbing all my late husband's lifetime of content from the internet. Apparently, people think it's okay to use his library to train voice AIs to promote their social commentary and political views," end quote. Terrible, absolutely terrible. But unfortunately, what's on the internet cannot be removed. And I'm sure since his passing, there have been plenty of people who have archived his stuff. Yeah. So even if you do get rid of that stuff, it's probably in vain, unfortunately, because the internet forever. But yeah, no. I've mentioned before. I don't know if it was on the podcast, but I mentioned to people that AI is terrifying. I think it's funny when they do stupid crap, like I said the example earlier of, like, you know, Trump and Biden and Obama like arguing about Minecraft stuff, but this is the dangerous part of artificial intelligence, especially with voice recognition stuff, is being able to use it, say whatever you want, and unfortunately, a large majority of the humanity is gullible, and they won't fact check anything or make sure if it's that person who actually said those things. But yeah.
Now, if you're using, you know, AI for political satire or making fun of politicians, fine. But when you start taking, you know, average people or well-known people and start applying your their voice, go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Yeah. That's just wrong.
On so many levels too, because there's no regulation. Like, AI appeared so suddenly, nobody's had time to figure it out, and I don't think anything will for the foreseeable future. Moving on, Last of Us, the TV show from HBO, will be 3 seasons long. At least we're assuming it will be. Yeah. Craig Mazin the writer, spoke of the adjustments that will be required in order to bring Last of Us Part 2's shifting antagonist structure and timeline division to the TV screen. He said, quote, "I think we know what we're doing on this one. I'm not saying that in a snarky way. I'm saying that in a hopeful way. There are going to be things that are going to be different, and there are things that are going to be identical. There are things that are going to be added and enriched, and there are some things that are going to be flipped. Our goal remains exactly what it was for the first season. Deliver a show that makes fans happy, end quote. I wonder what they'll do with it. I have not been watching the show because I've played the game. There are obvious changes to it, and I'm aware of which ones, and I probably will at some point go back and check those out because I think they're interesting. But I do hope that there will be some changes for the TV show. I do think Last of Us 2 is a really great game. Excellently made game with a great story. But I think that if things were rearranged or things were done differently, I think it would be even a better story. Particularly, I wonder if they're going to start out with us getting to know Abby and doing Abby's thing and then switching to Ellie, because I think that'll have more of an impact and flow better for people than the game did.
Possible.
But that's my opinion on it. But I don't think you played it, right? Yeah.
I didn't play Last of Us.
But yeah, but very hopeful. Yeah, the first season just ended to wonderful critical and commercial acclaim. So I know people will be waiting for that next season. But that is it for Tidbits for me.
I have.
Yay!
Starfield has been delayed. Now has an actual release date rather than Q1 or 2 of 2023.
I love when they make a date, when they like, this is it. Let's hope they stick to it.
So the game will now currently can change be released on September 6th this year. They're going to have a direct stream event on June 11th. They'll provide some form of visualization of what the game currently is. So hopefully it doesn't change too much from then.
Did I ever tell you my Red Dead Redemption story about the dates, the release dates for that game?
No.
I was working GameStop when Red Dead came out, and this was I think when I finally was just like, I'm not going to believe anyone who makes a game when they tell me when their game is coming out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not going to, because we had gotten shirts with the release date of Red Dead Redemption on it, and then they delayed it. And I think it was like the third time they had delayed the game.
Yeah.
And I wish I still had that shirt because it, completely different release date. But yeah, since then, man, I just, people will come up to me, hey, did you hear when that's releasing? And I'm like, nope, not going to. Like, be prepared for it to be pushed back or delayed, because that's not happening. And sure enough, like Red Dead 2, like, when's it coming out? It's like, well, it's been delayed again. So
yeah,
never. That's why, yeah, never believe street dates and never believe the hype.
Yeah. So. Or you could luck out and get a situation for Dead Island 2 where it's not delayed but advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's only been,
it can't be delayed.
Years.
It can't be delayed if it hasn't been created yet.
Sure it can.
It actually kind of looks all right. I don't know if you've seen any gameplay.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it actually looks pretty good. Although
a game can be delayed without actually being made. It's called Star Citizen.
I should have expected that. I saw something on Star Citizen today, and I didn't really like delve into it deeper. It wasn't even about a release date. It was about something else, I think. Something. I can't remember. But
because remember, it was supposed to be, wasn't it like 2014 it was supposed to was supposed to release?
When I started my current job, it was like 2014, and my boss at the time had kickstarted it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was gushing about it, about certain things in like 2016 and 2017. And I was just like, that's not out yet, right? Here we are, 2013, and it's still not out.
Yep. And it's never going to release.
I know. I don't think so either. Maybe.
And when it does, if it does, I think it's going to be fly under the radar, and only people that have been like,
I can only hope there's
diehard passionate about the game are going to remember it.
Right. I only hope that there's another game that releases at the same time that overshadows it. I don't know. The only
Red Dead 3.
Red Dead 3. Yeah. The only reason I rag on Star Citizen so much is so much money has been given to those guys, and they just can't make the thing. Make the game, release it, and use the excess money you get to make another game or a different game, and provide those backers with like a free copy or something. I don't know. But once again, that's me being armchair developer. I won't get into it. Damn it. But that's it. That's it. That's it for our show today. Thank you very much for listening, guys, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.